Well, hello. I'm not going to wait any longer. I've been sitting here actually for almost a half an hour since I had the blurb and title finished. And I was going to do 8:44, but 8:33 is good enough for me. The title for today is Working Through This Time of Transition. As I see it, Swiss Indo is a bridge from the old paradigm of human enslavement to a new world of freedom for all. It has similarities of the old system, which it must have if it is to serve its function. Many humans already recognize the problems we have experienced in the matrix of domination and want something totally different. I get that. However, most people are still not on that page. And if something were introduced that was completely new, it would not only cause mass confusion, there would be a backlash that could be devastating. I made a mistake. Let me fix it. Therefore, steps are being taken to the best of our ability to make the new world as recognizable as possible, while at the same time repurposing the old structures to serve a totally new purpose. That's the purpose of today's video, to help bring a greater understanding of this process of transition. Last night, I stayed up later than I had intended to stay up because someone had posted a Carl Lentz Uncommon Law video on my wall on Facebook. And it was an hour and 6 minutes, almost an hour and 7 minutes long. And I watched the whole thing, or listened anyway to the whole thing. And Carl Lentz is another one of these very, very intelligent men. Doesn't have to be a man, it could be a woman too. There's many of them out there now that has figured out how to get the result he wants in the current court system. And it's by using common law and how to invoke common law and how to present yourself as a man or a human as opposed to a person in the legal system. Interesting stuff, and I've seen lots of stuff like this over the years. But it leaves the current system of fraud and deception intact. Just like, and my comment was, I like this because he is once again revealing the corruption of the deceptive system and telling us we are required to outsmart them to exercise our natural rights and be men in the system. Like Neil Dyer, he justifies the current system that continues to commit crimes against humanity. It's interesting, yet it's totally wrong that deception rules our world. It's infuriating to hear him label judges as honorable when they engage in extortion every day. Sorry, crime is crime, and the violation of anyone's free will is always a criminal action. He drew distinctions between parts of the world that are common law. You can invoke the Queen's or King's bench in common law countries like Australia, England, South Africa, Canada, the United States, etc. But most of the world still operates under statutory law and some under Sharia law in some of the Islamic nations. But the system is still a system of deception. It's still a system of fraud where certain people take advantage of other people's ignorance of even the meaning of common words, where they apply like did you suffer as a result of this action that this person took against you? If you say yes, I suffered, it means, to their way of thinking in the corruption, well, then you allowed it, because to suffer something means to allow it. Well, that is one of the meanings, and that's one of the deceptions of the English language. Because the same word can have two completely different connotations based on the point of view and the education of the individual involved. And that's what allows the corruption and the enslavement of humanity to continue. It's what enabled it to take place. Well, ignorance is what enabled it to take place at the beginning. But it preys, P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y, preys on that ignorance to the advantage of certain individuals that reap benefits at the expense of others. This is what's wrong with the world, and this is what we at Swiss Indo have tried our very best and continue to try our very best to bring about a smooth transition between the old and the new, based on common law. Now, the common law countries, especially the US and Great Britain, the common law countries where the foundation of common law actually even comes from, we have been the terrorist nations, and we have established a statutory law system or a Roman law system, even to run side by side with the common law system. But the common law system is there, and Karl Lentz points that out very well. It's there, and if you know how to use it, you can use it to your advantage. But how can you know something like this, that you can outsmart them, while most of the people of the world can't, and you justify it by saying, well, they're just not ready yet. They're not ready yet. So let them continue to suffer and allow the old system to dominate them and to be enslaved by the old system. Allow the matrix to have the upper hand. I'm sorry. That doesn't cut it for me, and it won't cut it for me, and I don't believe it will cut it for most of the people that are in the delegation of God, Sky, Earth, Swiss Indo people. We will not tolerate a continuation of that old system. However, hierarchies. Suppose we just abolished all the roles of leaders and took away all the titles of leadership. What would people think? Would it turn into total mass anarchy and violence in every city on the planet once this became known, that there's no longer any king or president or prime minister? Nobody's in charge. Every man and woman is for him or herself. Well, humanity isn't ready to make that leap. Come on, give me a break. Unless something were to happen that were to totally enlighten every person in an instant, which I don't know what that could possibly be. If something like that were possible and happened, I would welcome it with open arms. But I don't see a way to do that. I don't see how we can jump from where we've been for so long into that thing that I can see and other visionaries can see. But when I talk to most people, they're not aware that the court system is corrupt. It is the way it is. They're not aware that the medical profession is corrupt. It is the way it is. They're not aware that our media lies to us. They believe our media. They think the media is doing a good job, and they watch it every day. These are supposedly intelligent people, but they don't get it. They don't see it because they've been programmed in the matrix to accept the domination system, to accept their own enslavement without even realizing that they're enslaved. Now, if you all of a sudden abruptly brought everything down all at once or in a very short period of time, it would cause chaos. And that would feed right into the hands of the psychopaths who love and they thrive on people's chaos and fear and anxiety. They thrive. They eat that kind of emotion. They're emotional vampires. And they eat the negative emotions. Now, I'm not saying don't express the negative emotions. If that's what you feel, that's what you feel. And that's part of the healing process. But if we were to abruptly just take it all away, take the structure all out from under everything, it would not, I don't think it would bode well for anything resembling a smooth transition. It would be a very a time of upheaval and a time of great human catastrophe, if not global catastrophe, if not geological catastrophes. People don't know that the weather is being modified. They don't know about chemtrails. They don't know about GMO foods. A lot of people. Yeah, you say, well, Ron, that's not us. You're right. Probably it's not those that listen. But bear in mind that there's a lot of people that don't listen, that don't get it. Are you going to just say, well, we get it and that's all that counts? No, I'm here and I'm my brother's keeper and I will do my best to protect the weakest among us. The weakest among us. I will attempt to give my voice to those that have been abused and don't even realize that they're being abused in many cases because it's so subtle. So I've been working with people, other visionaries, to help build this bridge. And Swiss Indo is the mechanism that we're using. And yes, they have kings and they've had prime ministers and other things appointed by Mr. Sino. And Mr. Sino is an insider. He's part of the banking world. Okay, so we're not trying to eliminate banks. We're trying to restructure banks that will ultimately give back that which has been stolen from the people to the people. And that's the vision. It's not that we're trying to eliminate money completely. We're trying to eliminate lack completely. So that the concept that there is a shortage of anything, actually, any kind of resource, that is eliminated ultimately. And money itself may not, we may reach a point in a generation or two where money is no longer required, and when we would laugh that we ever even thought we needed it. But we're not there yet. And neither are we there to not have structure, to not have levels of leadership. But if we can put people in those levels of leadership that have a heart for the people and are not trying to extort and steal and manipulate the people and coerce the people into something that hurts the people ultimately, even if they don't know that it's hurting them, well, isn't that a step in the right direction? Isn't that a bridge? Isn't that a way to get from where we've been to where we're going? You say, Ron, but it leaves the door open for the corruption to come back in. And perhaps that's true if we were to allow some of the same people with the same perverted ideas and the same mental capacity of sociopathic, psychopathic individuals, if we were to allow them to again hold positions of power. But that's not what we're about. We're about it. The whole thing with Swiss Indo is about putting ordinary people that have faced the system and recognized the ills and the deception and the fraud and the pain and suffering that is the result of such a system. And we're trying to address that. We're trying to introduce a simplistic law, a common law that people are told, this is your rights and this is how you exercise them. And it's simple. It's not, you don't have to learn a different language. And the courts, ultimately, when we repurpose the courts, we're not going to train the judges to try to outwit the people and to try to deceive the people and to get them to waive their rights without even knowing what they're doing. No. We're going to tell the judges up front, if you're going to err on the side of the rights of the individual. It's a re-educating the judges. It's a re-educating banks and people that are CEOs of corporations and turning them into CVACs, Creation Value Asset Center, where everything, all the wealth and all the value is derived from the people themselves and from the productivity and creativity of the people ourselves. We are the ones that we're building this new world for. It's a world that works for us rather than against us. That's the whole dream. That's the whole vision. It's not to figure out how to keep the old system and to manipulate it to our individual advantage when the most of the individuals of the world are damaged by it. And you say, well, as Carl said, well, they were doing me a favor. Like the one judge said to him early on, when you're a man, when you become a man, then you will know how to act. And that's what Neil says. It's about knowing how to act. metrics. They look at how you behave, and you're not ready yet. And a lot of people aren't ready yet. And if we keep the old system going, they will never be ready. Not the majority. Maybe a few people, like exists in the current system, a few people will figure it out and be able to protect themselves just to a large extent. And you might have communities of those people living together where they have figured out how to get off the grid and how to get out of the matrix and live a simplified life in a communal structure. But what about a system that works for everybody and creates a new heaven and a new earth? A new heaven, meaning that it's based on a spiritual principle of not darkness and imposition of something, like a canon law, rule by canon, but it's ruled by common sense and common law. That the basic essentials that everybody understands, the self-evident truths that if I hurt you, if I damage you, I'm responsible for that because I have violated your person. I have violated you as a living being. I have violated you, even in the legal sense. Okay, I violated your person. Talk about it legally. It doesn't. If I violate you, I've committed a crime against you. I'm responsible for that. Really simple. If I hurt you, I'm at fault because I have violated you as an individual under God. And the whole common law structure, it's God at the top, man next, and all things that man creates are under man, which means the governments, the courts, the police, the armies, the corporations, and all of these other structures are there to serve man. They are created by man to serve man. Now we've warped that. We need to get back to the repurposing of it. The purpose is to get everybody to become awakened, to get everybody to become enlightened. And that is a process. It doesn't happen by snapping your fingers or taking a pill. It happens by experience, by learning. But we want to make learning easier for people and not have to go through mazes of confusion and go through all these roadblocks. And we want to make it easier for people to get it. And that's what the Swiss Indo is all about. And I probably still haven't covered everything, and I see the time really is come to where I need to stop. But folks, we're really trying hard, and I really believe there's a lot of people of the heart that are involved in this Swiss Indo thing and in other movements that will be blessed. If Swiss Indo does what it is intended to do, it will change the world. It really will. But it will still be a process. It will empower and enrich other communities, other people that are visionaries, to help them bring it. And we will love one another. We will be compassionate to one another. Can you get that? I mean, that's really what I want you to see. That we want a world that's compassionate and not heartless. And that can't happen unless we can change the psychopathic mindset in each of ourselves. And we all have it a little bit. And we got to stop letting people that are totally controlled by it to be in control any longer. That's as I see it. And I'm hoping that I'm contributing to your greater understanding of where we are and where we're going. Thank you for listening. Namaste.